Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have an exciting show for you this week. We have some clips from the Million Marijuana March. We have Tim Pate is here to provide musical accompaniment. Hey, Tim. And he'll be joining us to take your phone calls. We'll be taking the viewer phone calls here throughout the show. We're going to start out with some hemp news. As I said, we have clips from the Million Marijuana March that took place right here in Portland and over 200 cities around the world. Other interesting points, so stay tuned, hang on, but let's bring out the dancing cannabis leaves, which will buy us a couple. Our first story tonight is from Vermont. Vermont's medical marijuana law, which lets people with life-threatening conditions use marijuana without fear of prosecution, now covers people with chronic debilitating conditions. On Thursday, a bill making that change became law after Vermont Governor Jim Douglas balked at signing it. Under the state constitution, any bill approved by the legislature and sent to the governor becomes law if he doesn't sign it within 5 days. Douglas also balked at signing the original version of the law that passed in 2004. This year's version makes it permanent and in the Vermont law. Spokesman Jason Gibbs said, quote, "The governor's compassion for people who are suffering from debilitating diseases, but he can't in good conscience sanction a violation of federal law." Oh my goodness. In addition to broadening the field of people covered, the new Vermont law increases the number of plants they can grow at home and cuts the annual registration fee from $100 to $50. Vermont is one of 12 states that protect very sick people from prosecution for using cannabis, but its law remains relatively conservative compared with others, according to Dan Burneth, the Assistant Communications Director for the Marijuana Policy Project. Senate Majority Leader John Campbell, a former police officer, was among those in favor of expanding the law to cover more people, although he said he understood Douglas's reluctance. Campbell, a Democrat from Vermont and Windsor, said, quote, "We choose to look at the human side, to take the compassionate view," end quote. Multiple sclerosis sufferer Mark Tucci of Manchester, Vermont, one of 35 people on Vermont State's medical marijuana registry, uses 2 ounces of cannabis each month to relieve pain and muscle spasms. He welcomed the change in the law, but said it won't be enough to let him legally grow the amount he needs. He said, quote, "It still forces me out on the black market, but it certainly helps," end quote. That's a story from the Associated Press, produced yesterday, June 1st, 2007. Our next story is from Richmond, Virginia. It talks about cannabinoids and how they enhance the analgesic activity of opiates in inflammatory pain. THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, the active ingredient in cannabis, when administered in combination with morphine, acts synergistically to reduce symptoms of chronic pain, according to preclinical data to be published in the European Journal of Pharmacology. The investigators at Virginia's Commonwealth University Department of Pharmacology assessed the antinociceptive interaction between cannabinoids and morphine in an animal model of arthritis. The administration of THC enhanced morphine's anti-inflammatory activity on chronic pain, according to these researchers. The preclinical data published last year in the journal Anesthesia and Analgesia reported that the co-administration of cannabinoids and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs, also acts synergistically to alleviate pain and reduce inflammation. Clinical trial data published in the February 2007 edition of the journal Neurology reported that inhaled cannabis significantly reduces HIV-associated neuropathy, a painful nerve condition which often goes untreated with standard pain medications. The full text of this new study, synergy between delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol and morphine in arthritic rats, will appear in the European Journal of Pharmacology. Our last story tonight is from Scientific American. Natural marijuana-like chemicals may direct key brain cells to make proper connections while in the womb, according to a new study. The researchers report that the molecules, called cannabinoids, serve as guideposts for young cells in the attention and decision-making parts of the fetal mouse brain. The findings may help explain studies showing that the children of mothers who smoked marijuana during pregnancy are progress differently and process information differently than their peers, although they are just as high in intelligence overall. Tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, might knock the cell-guiding machinery off course by overstimulating the brain. However, that's speculative. Researchers, however, say they are still a long way from determining exactly what effects endocannabinoids and THC have on developing human brains. According to the study co-leader, neurobiologist Tibor Haraki of the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, he says, quote, "I would say yes, there's a human relevance, but I cannot prove this, and these findings will not prove this," end quote. The scientists know that particular receptor proteins on human and animal adult brain cells respond to THC-like chemicals, or cannabinoids, which prevent the cells from making strong connections to one another, Harkey says. But they're in the dark about the role of endocannabinoids, or natural cannabis-like molecules, the kind made by the brain during fetal development. So Harkney and his colleagues cultured mouse embryonic brain cells that express cannabinoid receptor proteins, or CBRs, and exposed them to gradients of synthetic cannabinoids. The cells withdrew their root-like feelers, or axons, from the high concentrations of cannabinoids. The axons, which seek out and communicate with neighboring cells, veered instead to other directions, the group reports in a paper published online today in the magazine Science. In effect, if you activate the cannabinoid system of these cells, Harkney says, it'll send a message to the cell that I don't want to grow there. I want to grow somewhere else and connect to another cell. One other use of endocannabinoids is in mother's milk, and there's an endocannabinoid in human breast milk that seems to spur hunger in infants. That is the end of our Hemp News segment tonight. We'll be back in just a minute, and we'll be taking your phone calls at 503-288-4448. How are you doing tonight, Tim?
I am doing well tonight, Paul. How are you?
Very well, very well. I've been on the road all week since last week in Berkeley, California. We went down and saw patients in Dr. Todd McArea's clinic. It was a real honor to take over Dr. McArea's practice.
True.
Really happy that we could help him in his final days.
I'm glad that happened that way.
Yeah.
I was also glad to be a part of his last opportunity to be on stage myself. Some things you just honor just for the fact that you were there, you know, in the audience, and I feel like I was just there in the audience with him and watching him like with everyone else. So I was honored too. That was. I guess I should do a little music. Yeah, let's do some music. I know they put a whole bunch of pretty plants on behind me while I'm doing this. I'm never watching that. I'm always just doing this. So
I'm not sure whether they've got pretty plants or they've got hemp stock marchers.
Oh, that'd be cool too. I was there. You could pick me out in the crowd. I was there.
I remember.
Yeah, you were there too.
Yep.
We'll march again together, I'm sure.
We will next year.
Cool day. I need to find a space to dodge and out away. Out of town, up the pass. I got some friends and they've got some grass. Bring a towel, we'll sit and stew. We can talk, just me and you. heart. Hot tub, cool day. I need to find an outer space to dodge away. Out of town, up the pass. I got some friends and they've got some grass. Oh.
Mr. Tim and Pate. Good. Friends have some grass. Let's get together. All right, if you're watching tonight, the 2nd of June, 2007, give us a call at 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls and questions about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients right up to the top of the hour. So give us a call at 503-288-4448. So yeah, it's been a pretty wild week. Just got back into town today myself.
Yeah? Let me get this microphone on here. How's that? I know that. Does it sound good? As long as it sounds good.
I think you got it.
All right. You know, it was. Now, where all did you travel? Did you just go to California or go
Well,
anywhere
first I
else?
went up to Seattle.
Yeah.
Spent the weekend up there, and then on Memorial Day I got together with Dr. Orvald, and we flew to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And stayed at a house with a beautiful view of downtown San Francisco
Oh, nice.
and the bay. Just covered 180 degrees of the house where we were at. It was pretty incredible. And
Was the weather as nice as the day we were down there?
It was almost as nice, not quite. The first couple of
That was a
days
nice
were
day.
nice. There was one cloudy day there on the end. You can see if you went a little ways inland, though, that it was sunny further inland, even on that one cloudy day. But it wasn't too hot. I know there's been some hot weather here.
That's true. It has been. We hit 90 or better
Yeah.
in the middle of the week. Yeah, it's been a
Seemed
sunny
like it
week
might have
all
been
week.
that today, too. I'm not sure.
I think I get a little sun this week myself.
You look like you got a little sun.
It feels good.
Yeah.
The long winters here in Oregon sometimes. It can rain for a long time. So.
Yeah, right through June sometimes. It seems like summer doesn't start till mid-July half the time around here, so it's good to...
Now, did you stay in California the rest of the week, or did you travel off to Denver and
No,
Hawaii?
didn't go to Denver. Went back to Seattle on Wednesday night. We saw patients at Dr. McArea's clinic.
Cool.
Saw about 90 patients over Tuesday and Wednesday. And we're going to be back there in 2 weeks to see another 90 patients or so.
Very good.
We have a new doctor, but Dr. Orvald went down there and helped get it started. In fact, the first day we were there, Tuesday the 29th, it was ironic that day they had a half-a-page obituary in the New York Times for Dr. McArea.
Good for him.
Yeah. So
It's a tribute. Honestly,
really is.
We could speak tributes to him for a long time. We both know that. So I think as many accolades as he gets, even at this stage of his life, is really important. He was a pioneer, and I hope that the world can continue listening to what he had to say.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing.
Sure they shall. If you're out there and you're watching us here in the Portland area on Friday night, the 2nd of June, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour. We have a few things for show and tell or sharing here, and I can see cameras closing in on a few of them. Maybe I should just go ahead and launch into the show and tell. Now this, very interesting. I'll open it up, but it's a cannabis, indica, and salicylic acid plaster, and it has these nifty.
It's still got the crystals. You can see them.
It's all crystally, and it's ready to be put on there to stop growths on your skin, I think is what this for. It's a big, huge plaster. It's about 8 by 9.
What year was that made? Do you have any
It's
idea?
Seabury and Johnson. This is about 1880. Seabury and Johnson was predecessor of Johnson & Johnson.
Oh.
They later became Johnson & Johnson, and they're out
So that's
of...
a name we should all know and
Yep.
trust.
Yep, exactly. We make our baby oil. Then right next door here, from Sharp and Dome of Philadelphia, we have a migraine medicine with cannabis included in it. This one's nifty because it's still full. It's a remedy for rheumatism and gout with cannabis, and it's you can see still Still mostly there. Rheumatism and gout with that one. This one's for neuralgia. And cannabis indica and zinc phosphate and strychnine are the main ingredients in that one. Now this little bottle here is supposed to hold 100 ergotin and cannabis indica pills. Little itty bitty teeny tiny cannabis indica pills and ergotin. Ergotin was an extract from ergot fungus that includes LSD and other LSD-like substances. That's where they get LSD, is it's synthesized from ergot fungus.
I learned so much on this show.
Learn something new every day. Now this is a corn silk from Great Britain, and it is made from cannabis indica. There must be 100 different medicines out there for corns made from cannabis back between 1840 and 1930.
You'd think
and this is
it
one
must
of them.
have been working if they'd used it that much.
Now this one, the last of our medicine bottles, and this is the newest addition to the THCF collection here. This is for cough. It's a cough treatment syrup. It has...
Can you see that bottle?
This one?
Yes.
It has, let me just say, cannabis indica and morphine diacetate. So that's heroin. So this was cannabis and heroin.
Oh, wow.
And that's from 1890.
Yes, the bottle
pretty-
says that too. Just from the color of the bottle, it predates World War I.
Yeah. It's a pretty nifty bottle, and to think
Absolutely.
that
That
they
is.
sold cannabis mixed with heroin over the counter for coughs in little bottles like
It also
that.
has chloroform in it.
Yeah, that'll knock you out too.
That's a powerful mixture right
Yeah,
there.
that is. You wouldn't need much of that stuff. And then we have some hemp milks. Hemp Bliss from Manitoba Harvest. A couple new hemp milk products out there that are really tasty. And those are organic. Can't beat that. Well, so much for sharing our show and tell. We have a caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Card holders by random and then go make...
Hello.
You are on
We hear
the air.
everyone in your living
Hello?
room. Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You're with us.
I can't hear myself, so I don't know.
That's okay. Don't listen to yourself. Listen to us. How are you doing?
Okay. I have an acquaintance that is a medical marijuana grower, and he recently had the police come to his house, and
I
he
hate it
had
when that
more dried marijuana than the quota, and so he got into trouble for that. So what I was wondering is there a random check, or I know that
Oh,
they're
absolutely
trying
not.
to get
The police do not randomly come to your house looking for marijuana. That doesn't happen.
okay.
They would only be there if they had some information leading them there.
Suspect,
Whether it's an
right.
informant, whether it's the smell, whether it's they went to a grow shop and the police followed them home. Could be a power utility man, saw the power meter going too fast, even though that's not all that common. It's usually an informant.
Okay. Now, if that was to ever happen, do you know what they do? Do they come in and want to search your house, or they just want to see your license?
Well,
and
yeah, if they
ask
come
you to
without
see
a
what you have,
warrant,
or
I
what would they
recommend
do with
talking
something
to
like
the
that?
police through a closed door. And if you have a medical marijuana permit, you might want to explain that. I tell people who come to our clinics to keep a photocopy of their medical marijuana permit somewhere outside of their front door, so you don't have to open your door and give it to the police. Because once you've opened your door to the police, you've given up some of your rights. Once you've opened your door to the police can then say they smell something or they see something that allowed them to push you out of the way and come into your house. So if you leave your door closed, you're not in any danger of that happening unless they have a warrant. Now, if they have a warrant, you should let them in right away, or they're going to be knocking that door down real quick.
Right.
Usually they
well,
won't
I'm
even
not
knock,
worried
they'll just
myself.
bang your door down.
It was just kind of peculiar, and I didn't know, how something like that would come about. And so, but posting your medical marijuana out on the front door, if you don't want your neighbors.
No,
to know what's
I'm not
going on,
saying post it. Listen, I said keep it hidden somewhere outside your front door, whether it be under your welcome mat, taped to the bottom of your mailbox, underneath a rock, beside your front door, something like that. And if you don't have it hidden outside in a plastic bag, you'd want to keep it in a waterproof container, of course. You can show it to them through a closed window if you want.
So you
Or
could
you can just
instruct
tell them
that
verbally,
I have a medical marijuana
marijuana
card
permit.
and that.
They have
I'll have to open up the
24
door. Is that the reason you suggest that, or?
What was that again?
I said the reason you suggest putting it in a water-safe bag and maybe taping it under the mailbox or your mat is so you don't have to open the door to the police and you can say, I've got a medical marijuana and this is where I'll go ahead and view it? Or
That's right.
That's right, okay.
And you don't necessarily have to show them. The police now have access to the medical marijuana office 24 hours a day. The medical marijuana office has someone there 24 hours a day to say yes, they have a permit or no, they don't have a permit.
Okay.
They didn't have that until the past year. Up till then, it was just Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But now they've got someone standing by 24 hours a day ready to tell state police in Oregon or local police here in Oregon that.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I remember reading an opinion by the state attorney general that basically stated that the police had the proper procedure for the police was if they did suspect something of that nature, their first move was actually to contact that information.
That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Just because the attorney general said they were supposed to do it, though, doesn't mean they necessarily do.
No, but it did help me when they came to my door, and it did make a difference.
Yeah. It's best, I think, to just say no to illegal police searches. They're not going to do anything to help. They're not going to water. They're not going to transplant. They're not going to help you trim. They're just there trying to figure out if they can hurt you.
Right,
So why cooperate with someone whose only goal is to try to hurt you?
Right.
You know, it's just say no, I don't want to let you search. That's why we have the Bill of Rights in this country.
Right.
They don't
So
like
you're
it.
within your legal rights and you're not doing anything wrong. If they come to your house, you just refuse to let them in. And if they have a search warrant, of course, you have to let them in.
Yeah, and the one thing to remember is don't answer questions. Don't talk to them. Don't say anything to them except there's one magic phrase, and I'm going to teach you this magic phrase right now. It will protect you. And what you have to say is, I have to talk to a lawyer before I answer any questions.
Okay.
And if they say, no, you don't have to talk to a lawyer, tell them, yes, I do. I'm not answering any questions until I talk to a lawyer. And any lawyer worth his salt is going to tell you, don't answer any questions and don't consent to any searches because you're not doing yourself any favors. And once you do start talking or once you consent to a search, you can never take that back. You've already allowed them in, and so you can't go back and say, hey, I've changed my mind now. You get out.
Right, right. Okay, well, I thank you very much. We really enjoy your show. We watch it every Friday, and I thank you for your information and all the positive stuff that you guys give us weekly.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
Okay, you guys have a great night.
Thanks for your call.
Those
a lot
were
of
good
questions there. A lot of opportunities to tell people.
There is so much going on, and I know that there's so much conflict at times between people and the authorities, and so it's always good to know your rights. It's good to understand that you don't have to open that door, you know, unless they do have a warrant. And when they do come to your door, it's good to know that, you know, they should contact the health department and to you know, remind them that they maybe forgot to do that before they came over. And maybe they should go back and take care of that before they come back.
Or maybe they decided to contact and decided they want to come in anyway. You know, a lot of times, my experience is 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times the police seize marijuana for their own use. It's not because they want to have an extra arrest. It's because they want to get that medicine and use it themselves, and they'll even take it from sick and dying patients if they feel compelled to. You know, there's some police that aren't honest. And,
the potential is always there whenever there's something that is worth the price of gold.
Yeah.
And it is such a good, valuable medicine that, you know, there's bound to be people who, you know, people do black market medicines of all different kinds. I'm not surprised that would exist there, too.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me in the least, although I'd hope that...
It's a little bonus for them. I mean, it supplements their income. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my experience in looking in evidence lockers in over a dozen cases is, as an expert witness, is that the police have pictures of big buds that they harvested, but when you look in the evidence locker, there's just trimmed stems left, and there's nothing but the stems. The buds are gone in the evidence locker, but the courts never bring that up.
The spider mites must have eaten them in the locker.
Yeah, with scissors.
That's
Spider-mite.
That's
with
right.
scissors,
That's right.
you know,
Big spider bites.
big scissors. Pretty nifty. Well, anyway, if you've got a question for us out there tonight on the 2nd of June, 2007, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. If you're out there and you think you might have one of the conditions that qualifies for medical marijuana, well, you know what? We have a list of the conditions that qualify in Oregon, Washington, Colorado. We'll be running them in just a second because we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Oh, Brother Johnson here again. It's going to be short and sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, did you get that message I left about that little news skit that Fox aired on the cable about the
I think
work?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I turned in late, and I'm hoping you make a comment on it, about what's going on with that, and et cetera. And we need to get together, too, because I miss you that day. You know what I'm talking about?
I understand. I was out of town all week this week in Seattle and Berkeley, but got back in late this afternoon. Now, Fox News, what was that about?
Yeah, I left a recording because I taped it, about the workplace. They were talking about what was going on in Oregon about they didn't agree.
Yeah,
with.
there are some bills that will make it difficult for medical marijuana patients to remain employed if their employer wants to enforce marijuana prohibition, even for medical patients. And that's what that was about. I'd urge all our viewers to contact their state representatives in Oregon and tell them to oppose Senate Bill 465. That's the nasty bill out there that would do that.
Okay, I'm going to get off here real fast, and I hope you make a comment about the housing still, too, and I'm going to get off here and listen because I know you got some other callers calling in. Appreciate it, Paul. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for people in public housing, they can grow their own medical marijuana. They can't be a caregiver for any other patients. They can't have more than the single patient limits. But the courts have ruled that people in public housing can, if they are a patient themselves, grow for just themselves, but no other patients.
Well, at least they have that.
Yep, that's better than nothing, that's
It
for
is.
sure. Some of those apartments, though, it's very difficult.
You're right.
It's so expensive. If you're in public housing, you're obviously financially strapped, and so the equipment to grow indoors is expensive, the power to grow indoors is expensive, but once you add it all up, it's less than the medicine.
That's the biggest problem with a disabled person. Honestly, most disabled people don't have the ability to bring in extra income. They have an income if they're on disability or SSI or any of those things, and that is a very limited income.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who'll just hoorah on that because they know that it's not much money, and to have to deal with a very expensive medicine or a process that's very expensive to get the medicine. Yeah, it's prohibitive. There's no doubt.
It really is. But buying it on the black market is pretty prohibitive as well. There is a bill out there, Senate Bill 767, that would set up a state dispensary. It's kind of stalled right now in committee. It looks like Attorney General Meyer's office doesn't want to see it progress because they don't want to defend it in the federal courts. Then there's another proposal that's going forward to set up dispensaries, privately run nonprofit dispensaries and producers that would be licensed by the state, and so there'll be a petition in circulation between now and next summer to accomplish that. And the folks from the Marijuana Policy Project said they're putting in over $100,000 to get that on the ballot here in Oregon.
Right on.
So we'll see what comes of that.
Well, I hope that they're successful.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to be helping on that. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I got a question.
You called the right place.
I had some plants that were indoors, and they were all in veg, and then I set them outside, I guess, too early, and they start budding already.
Yes.
And then now they want to go back into veg.
Yeah.
So
that's fine. They can go back into the vegetative cycle and take off and do real well.
Should I cut off the old pieces?
No, leave it going. It'll look a little weird at first, but it'll turn back into strong vegetative growth, and then it'll start budding in September again.
Okay. That helps a
And you'll
lot.
get real good buds off that. Just let it go, and it'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah, you put it out quite a little bit too early, not quite enough
Yeah, I
light
usually
yet.
tell people wait till the last half of April. And if you get it out before that, you want to have at least 13 or 14 hours of daylight. Because once it gets below 13 hours, it'll start flowering.
And the last chance for a frost, too, which is over now. But
Yeah.
Okie doke.
All right,
Well,
thanks
thank
for
you
your
very much.
question. If you're out there and you have a call for us tonight, call that number on your screen. It's 503-288-4448. And once again, let's get back to those conditions that qualify for medical marijuana. Most people, about 60 or maybe even 65% of all the patients who have a medical card qualify with chronic pain. Also, chronic and severe nausea in any of its many forms. Chronic pain and chronic nausea cover a lot of different conditions. AIDS or HIV and glaucoma, IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, seizure disorders like epilepsy and spastic conditions, things that cause severe muscle spasms like multiple sclerosis or asthma, other conditions. Tourette's, for instance, qualifies for medical marijuana. GERD, Crohn's disease, gastrointestinal ailments qualify, as does Hep C and cancer. If you have one of those conditions, or you know someone who does, then we can help them get a medical marijuana permit in Oregon, Washington, California, Hawaii, Colorado, and Nevada. So in any of those states, give us a call. In Portland, our Portland number is 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We also have classes. If you have a medical marijuana permit, then we have classes. We can teach you how to grow. We have beginning grower classes, advanced grower classes. So just call that number, 503-235-4606. If you're up in the Seattle area, we have a different number up in Seattle. I was in our Seattle office earlier today. The number is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. If you're in Denver, Colorado, and this show plays in Denver, Colorado, then you can call us at 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. If you're outside of those major metropolitan areas, anywhere in the western United States, you can call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's toll free. We'll pay the dime. Call us at 1-800-723-0188. We can help hook you up with doctors across the western United States that can help you get medical marijuana permits if you have one of those conditions. California allows psychiatric conditions where none of the other states currently allow those.
I hope that we can find a way to do that here soon. I used to be chairman of the board of a medical center that was also a crisis center and the main intake for Lane County mental health. And I know the benefits. Yeah. And so I feel like it would be very important for us to try and fight that fight here. And
you know, there's been efforts in every state that has medical marijuana to add those conditions, but the powers that be, in Oregon, that's the health department. In Washington, it's the Washington Medical Quality Assurance Board. Yeah. Those folks have said no at every step. But the effort continues to add those conditions in other states. Let's take one more call, and then we're going to run a film clip. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, thank you. I have a question about the permit actually presented when you're asked to show proof. Now, is your condition listed on your card? For instance, if you had AIDS.
No,
that's not listed.
Condition is not listed on your card. It's not the law enforcement's, you know, they don't need to know what your condition is. They don't need law enforcement has no medical training. Unfortunately, I've heard all too often the police say, oh, you don't need medical marijuana for AIDS. You know, of course, they don't know anything about medicine, so fortunately, the condition is not listed on the card.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your call. All right, we have a film clip from Portland's Global Marijuana March back on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and we'll be back just after this clip. Enjoy.
It costs more to lock up a pothead for a year than it does to put him through Harvard. Yeah. That's right. Let's educate our people. Let's not lock them up. And tax it. Medical marijuana gotta have it. Relax it. And tax it. Medical marijuana gotta have it. Relax it. And tax it. Medical marijuana gotta have it. Wow.
Want to get blazed, not tased.
than for all violent crimes combined. Save the world. Hemp will save the world. Hemp will save the world. Hemp will save the world. Hemp, hemp. Hooray! Hemp, hemp. Hooray! Hemp, hemp. Hooray!
We're having some technical difficulties there, you know. I want to remind our viewers that this is an entirely volunteer show. None of us are paid to do this, neither the talent nor the dozen people behind the cameras and in the control room that put everything together. So when you see little glitches and things, you just realize we're doing a pretty good job for free volunteer television here, and you can expect glitches when we train new people on how to do all the different positions.
What I like to say is even the gremlins are volunteers.
That's right. That's right.
So we got issues, but you know what? We even with our issues, we're still in a lot of states, and we're out there all over the place. And every time I turn on my cable TV, I'm standing there making music to myself. And
the folks at the other cable systems comment about how we have very good production values here compared to most other cable access shows. We have a set, even. You know, there's how many cable access shows have their own banners?
How many cable shows have 11 years of experience behind every one of the cameras, and that makes a lot of difference too.
I think this is show 407.
Yeah.
13 more shows to show 420.
Right on.
I had hoped we'd see it legal by then, but the battle continues. If you have a call or a question for us tonight on the 2nd of June, 2007, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour. Well, we got a letter back this week from the Portland Parks Department saying that our security plan was insufficient for our Hempstock Festival, for the 3rd annual Hempstock Festival.
Yeah.
And they don't say why it's insufficient.
That's what you said.
They just said it's insufficient.
Okay.
And so they know we're suing them. Our lawyer sent me an email tonight saying she's preparing the lawsuit and will file the lawsuit and ask for a preliminary injunction to force them into issuing this permit. So we'll probably see that filed the middle to the end of next week. So,
and I would have hoped that the city would have found a way to give us an alternative if they didn't like it, or to at least give us some solutions, rather than create a conflict. Why is it that they have to create a situation where
I think there's pressure on them from the federal government to say they don't want to see a Seattle Hemp Fest event with 200,000 people spreading to Portland, and if it gets to Portland and Seattle, where's it going to go from there? Every city in America, and then what's going to happen? Marijuana prohibition will be over.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Amen.
They're seeing that this is another stepping stone, so these guys are just lackeys of the ones who want to control us.
Well, you know, I have to admit
I wrote them a pretty pointed letter.
Good.
Saying, you can't infringe on our right to free assembly or our right to free speech.
Right.
And you say that our security plan's insufficient, but you don't tell us how it's insufficient.
Right. No, they don't offer solutions.
No, they don't want a solution. They want us to have to sue them, so, well, we will.
That's why I see that there's a problem when they're not trying to offer solutions, when they're not working with us, when they're not offering alternatives, when they're not doing those things as public servants. Then I have a question about them, and I have a question about their process, and I think it's appropriate that we do talk to them in a court of law.
Well, I think we'll get damages out of them. So
I don't want damages. I want to have a good show.
We'll have a good show, and maybe a little financial damages from the city will help us put on an even better show.
That's true. Then we can bring even more good people to come and play.
That's true. Let's get them to finance
Willie
Nelson coming here. That'd be a good.
I knew Steve Wessing and I got together this week and talked about the bands that we wanted to have come, and we're looking at the schedules, and people. There are a lot of volunteers who have already been working on this for a very long time.
That's right.
And so
we're going forward. The Hempstock Festival is going to happen. It's probably going to be in North Portland at a park up there, but it will be September 8th and 9th right here in River City, Portland, Oregon. September 8th and 9th, 2007, the 3rd annual Hempstock Festival, and we'll have more to tell you about that in the coming weeks. We have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Hello. How are you tonight, guys?
Good. Very well.
Terrific. First of all, I want to say we all appreciate very much what you're doing down there, and it's just a really good thing.
Thank you.
And now I have a question for you. I am new to growing. I have recently harvested my first crop.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're now have our second crop going. One of the clones that we got, it's very odd. We've removed it from the other stuff because it's just growing like wild, but the leaves are very odd. They don't have the 5 points. Some have 3, some have 2, some have 5. But it also, when the leaves are coming in, they're kind of coming in like in pinwheels. It's very odd, but it smells very strong. So I just took it away from the other plants and put it under some lights. And
Funkified, huh?
Yeah, weird. Do you guys have any idea what that could be?
You know, I've had it happen to me. I can't tell you why. But I've had that happen. So all I can say is, yeah, some of them go funky.
It's very strange, but I'm going to keep on chugging and see what it does for me here. And
I think that's wise. You want to let it finish out and see how it is, and if it's good, reproduce it.
Oh, you bet. Well, thanks so much, guys. You have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks for your call.
The test is in the tasting. It is.
The proof's in the pudding.
It really is.
We've got down to about 15 minutes left, so if you want to call us, now's the time. But you have to be watching here in Portland on June the 2nd, 2007. Call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. Now, I'm excited about the Hempstock Festival this year. I know, so right now, everybody who played last year wants to play again, just about. There's a few bands that have split apart and formed back together. I know we have Bingy and the Seventh Seal ready to go.
Yes.
I know you're, of course, ready to open the show as you always do and help MC. We've got Tommy Chong signed up to be our MC, and that's exciting.
Yes.
He's going to MC the event. He's even going to demonstrate some things. We've got a private party on Saturday night where we'll let people come in and get pictures and autographs with Tommy and a private environment. And then there's another band called Human and the Human Revolution that I'm pretty excited about.
Oh, really?
It's a great song about hemp and is a positive influence. So there's a number of bands lined up.
That's the nicest thing about it. Whenever we have one of these shows, there are a number. I know I help with the Seattle Hemp Fest. I'm on the core staff in Seattle. Hello to Seattle.
You've opened every one of those so far.
I've been opening.
This year, is it the 16th or the 17th?
I think it's the 16th this year.
16th.
This is the 16th.
Seattle Hemp Fest.
Yes.
And the city there hasn't tried to close them down because of widespread marijuana smoking, at least not recently.
Not for those reasons, no. And in fact, I do know that they were struggling with their permitting issues as well with the city up there, but they were able to solve those, and they would come up with solutions, and so that will go on.
Well, our city just says, no, you guys are bad. There's widespread marijuana use.
That's it.
Go away. And that's pretty ridiculous.
Well, it's not a cooperative stand, and you got to understand, there's a whole bunch of people who do this.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of friends of theirs who believe in them for doing it. And there's a whole bunch of others who voted on it because they want to do it anyway. And so, when you think about the number of people out there who actually allowed this law to pass, it's much more than 60%. And for politicians to buck that kind of a trend and to not...
It's money and power. That's what it's about. It's about money and power. And we're going to fight the powers that be.
I think so.
Until they let us be free. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi. I have a question. It's not actually for me. It's for my mother. She's growing in another state, and she wanted to know how you can tell a male from a female early on because they keep on producing later on when she's better.
It helps if you have a color picture. It's easy for me to tell you, there's 2 little hairs in this little bract on the female plants where the males might just have 1 little hair coming out at the bracts between the leaves and the stems. However, seeing is believing. And so you can get color pictures of males and females in George Cervantes' book, Indoor and Outdoor Marijuana Horticulture, and the Medical Marijuana Grower's Bible. That's out there. It's got over 1,100 color pictures. So I highly recommend getting that book. It'll take care of everything you've ever wanted to know. And if you don't have to read the whole thing at one sitting, say you want to know how to tell your males from females, well, just look in the index, look up the picture, you got it done. Say you want to just make cuttings. Hey, look it up in the index. Here's the little 4 or 5 pages on how to make cuttings. So it can help you on a case-by-case, issue-by-issue basis. It can also help you diagnose nutrient deficiencies in your plants by looking at these pictures of the leaves from various nutrient deficiencies or over-fertilization as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you want to get that book. It's George Cervantes. Jorge is the Hispanic pronunciation. Cervantes. It's really a great book. I recommend it.
She lives all the way in Georgia. So
well, you can order this through Amazon.com, and it'll be delivered in a plain brown box. No one will know what's inside.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Yeah, you can get used copies real cheap, like $5 a book if you get the used one. And the new ones are just $23, $24. So
that's less than an eighth on the black market, as I
George
understand
Cervantes is originally from here in Portland. He used to have a grow shop here in Portland, but he closed it with Operation Green Merchant that the DEA launched back in the late 80s. And he moved, when George Bush II was elected, I got a call from George Cervantes. He took me out to breakfast and says, I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay in this country with George Bush II as president. And he moved to Barcelona. So now he's in Barcelona, and he writes the monthly Grow column for High Times magazine. So
there you go.
We're very proud of George.
Doing a job.
Yep.
Well, sometimes you have to go to Europe. I went to Europe last fall, and it's a different environment there.
It really is.
It
really is. Back in the mid to late 90s, Switzerland for 5 years allowed open marijuana cultivation. I saw a 25-acre, 10,000 plant field, and so I can honestly say I have seen the promised land.
I saw Chris Iverson stand in that field. And I've got a picture on my wall at home of him in that field.
Yeah.
All those plants around him. He had a smile on his face, too.
I had a huge smile on my face. I've got some of those pictures, too. I've seen the promised land. I just hope we can bring it here to the United States, to the land of the free, and change the land of the pea, the land of the urinalysis test, back into the land of the free, where we can grow our hemp and eat it, too. So time will tell. Well, we're down to just less than 10 minutes, folks. If you want to get a call in, now's your time at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448.
You know, when I first got into this movement, there were no states that had medical marijuana. There was just the federal program, and it was a really piss-poor one.
Yeah.
Now there are, 12 states?
12 states with Vermont, New Mexico.
If I'm not mistaken, that's better than 20%.
If you look at it population-wise, it's actually 50% of the population. The 12 states that have it, like California and
Washington, Oregon.
And Washington, Oregon includes over 50% of the total population of the country. So
it's not something that they should go blindly against. They should pay attention to what we're trying to do here.
It's not about logic.
No.
It's not about science. It's about money and the continued centralization of economic and political control. They base this whole prohibition on lies and racism and to protect the petrochemical industries from competition from hemp. Once they invented a device at the turn of this century that made hemp cheaper by 100-fold. It went from 50 cents a pound to a half a cent a pound for hemp fiber. And as soon as that happened with the invention of the decorticator, which just like the cotton gin a century before dropped the price of hemp products, that's when we saw the first marijuana stories starting to appear. And marijuana was first prohibited in El Paso, Texas in 1916, and then it spread from there. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Well,
just wanted to share something with you.
Okay.
I'm a retired police officer, and I'm also a medical marijuana user. And when you were talking earlier about the, like if you give them consent to come in and search, as soon as you tell them they have to leave, they have to leave. They have to go right back out the door. I just wanted to share that.
Okay. Yeah, I had always thought once you've given them consent, you can't go back and say, oh, I changed my mind now.
No, you can change your mind because you don't like the way they're talking to you or anything. You can tell them out the door. And if they don't have a search warrant, they got to go right out the door immediately.
That's right. Okay. You're right.
It's the law.
Unless they say they see something or smell something. Allow them to continue doing whatever they want to do.
Well, if they feel that they're smelling something or whatever, unless they have a search warrant, they still have to go back out to the street and wait until they have a search warrant.
Right. Okay.
That's correct.
That's it.
Good point. Well, thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
All right. Thanks.
You're
welcome. course, you don't want to argue with the police. They've got bigger sticks and bigger guns. So if they insist, it's probably best to stand your ground on what you say, but don't try to force them to follow your instructions.
I think that's wise.
They're the ones that have the power of coercion in their hands.
Have your attorney's number in your pocket.
That's true. And always say, I have to talk to a lawyer before I answer any questions, because that's the magic phrase that can protect you more than anything else. And we can thank the American Bar Association for keeping attorneys' rights expanded here, even in the age of the Patriot Act and the gradual curtailment of liberties here in the United States. Hopefully we'll see that end after the war on terror, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yeah, I was wondering, if you live in Section 8 and you have a medical marijuana card, can you get in trouble for that?
No. You can only grow for one patient. You can't be a caregiver for other patients, but you can grow your own crop, and they can't have you leave your housing because of that, as long as you have your permit and keep your permit current.
Alrighty, that's cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah, the courts have ruled that way back about 5 or 6 years ago.
Alright, I didn't know that.
Well, yeah.
That's why we're here.
Alright, thanks, son.
Thank you. Well, if you're out there and you think that you might have one of those conditions, I'm going to run through them again. Could be chronic pain, severe nausea, AIDS, cancer, glaucoma, IBS, Crohn's disease, GERD, spastic conditions like epilepsy or seizure disorders, spastic conditions like multiple sclerosis or Tourette's, then you qualify for medical marijuana anywhere in the western United States. In Portland, you can call us at 503-235-4606. We have a physician referral service, and we have doctors across the state of California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Nevada, and Hawaii who can help. And that number again in Portland is 503-235-4606. Up in Seattle, it's 206-878-1701. And we also have classes, beginning growing classes, advanced growing classes, classes on how to make medical grade hashish, which is legal if you have a medical marijuana permit. These classes are only for medical marijuana permit holders from Oregon, Washington, or any of the states that have that. So in Seattle, the number is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. If you're in Denver, the Denver number is 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. In the western United States, if you're outside of Portland, Seattle, and Denver, then you can call us at the toll-free number, 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And you can find out about classes. You can find out about getting a permit. We have doctors, dozens of doctors across the western United States to help. And you can find out about getting involved in the effort to end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp. So we hope to hear from you. We have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yes. I was wondering, how do you get your insurance company to accept your medical marijuana coverage?
They don't necessarily have to. The laws in several states say that your insurance companies don't have to cover this. The cost, compared to a lot of other things, is relatively inexpensive. A permit in Oregon for the state fee is $100. For people who are on public health assistance, it is $20 a year. And then the doctors have sliding scales. The medical marijuana specialists have sliding scales and can help patients. It still takes a couple $100 altogether with all the expenses, but it's relatively inexpensive compared to most mainstream medical care.
The reason why I ask is because of the medications that I've been on for 5 years. I want to get off of them, and in order to get off of them and do the medical marijuana, how do you go about doing this without the doctor saying, okay, you did this wrong, and now we're going to take all your drugs away?
You know, that's something you'd have to address individually. Different doctors have different standards, and they have different agreements. A lot of doctors have pain management contracts that limit what they allow patients to do. So you basically, I'd recommend calling our numbers and asking the people there to give you specific advice on your situation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you directly. It really depends on your doctor, and in a lot of cases you don't even have to tell your mainstream doctor, but in some cases people on pain management clinics have to sign saying they're not going to use anything else or ask for anything else, and they're subject to your analysis testing to prove it. So in those cases you have to negotiate the process pretty carefully.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your call.
Bye.
Well, folks, I want to thank you for spending another fine hour with us this Friday night. If you're watching the live show, if you're watching one of the many repeats, whatever you're watching, tune in next week. We'll be back. We're going to end with some pretty pictures and the lovely music of Mr. Tim Pate here. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. Help us restore hemp and end adult marijuana prohibition. Thanks for watching.
Right on.
Good night.
Next week, we're going to have also Dylan Brewer is going to come and join me. We'll do a little music together. So just wanted to make an announcement like that. Good night, folks. See you all next week.